Alright guys, so this video I guess is directed to people who have Asperger's and also to people who don't have it to maybe try to make them more aware of certain things. Like for example, some people who don't always say hi back um aren't always being intentionally rude, if you get me. um you should try to keep in mind that someone, like for example, some people who don't always say hi back aren't always intentionally being rude. That's kind of the way I am, if you get me. I'm not like that as much anymore at all, really. But kind of like years ago, if you get me. They might be dealing with some shit in their lives, like behind closed doors. Like maybe the person is struggling with mental health, or maybe that person might be dealing with like a fuck ton of anxiety. Like I have at times, of course, which I think I've talked about. I don't know how much time's been out, but yeah. Where it's honestly hard to even speak at times. I've fallen victim to this myself at times, right? Where sometimes I don't say hi to someone because I would be anxious as hell, right? And unfortunately, I could tell afterwards that the person thought I was like rude, or that I was basically a dick, if you get me. Those people didn't even have to like say it. You could just tell by like their aura, their energy. You can just kind of tell that they didn't like what happened. Um, they thought I was being rude when in reality I did not mean to come off that way. I was just feeling like really shitty because of like various mental health reasons, and also generally being in a really crowded environment makes me feel, you know, just makes me feel anxious. That's kind of the best way to describe it. Sometimes I think it can really affect your ability to hold a conversation too, I find personally. I'm not sure if anyone else does, but like I think it would be very difficult to talk, and it ends up feeling extremely awkward. Then you think of saying something, but then you realize that might make it even more awkward, so you don't. Now, luckily, this isn't something that really bothers me as much in recent years. This is mainly something that I really struggled with in school years ago and growing up, if you get me. I also hate those situations where like you're walking past someone, for example, and like you spoke to that person briefly, so it's like you're not really friends, but you're not exactly, you're not really like, you don't know that person, but you're not exactly friends. It's like you're acquaintances or some shit like that. I don't know, but like yeah, you're walking past me, you spoke to them briefly, and you're thinking in your mind like, should I say hello or should I just like walk past? What if that person doesn't like me? What if he or she blatantly like ignores me, which has happened in the past, by the way, which is it just feels super awkward, like I've had some people become almost hostile with me for what feels like no reason, to be honest. I have no idea why. I think it was partly due to these issues here that I listed, but yeah, it is odd, because sometimes a person will act a certain way to me. It's like you can tell a person is like, I think of like 5 years ago, for maybe 6 years ago, I'll try and think of something. It's like, it could be a person there, and it's like you can tell that that doesn't want to talk, and it's like, why? Like, I don't, you know what I mean? I don't understand. I didn't do anything. Barely even spoke to the person, but yeah, that's just kind of example. I'll give you an example of a time where a person was hostile with me for literally no reason. Like many years ago, there was this drunk girl who got on my face, uh, calling me all kinds of names. From what I remember anyway. But she started saying all this shit like, oh my god, why the fuck are you even here and all this? Like, why are you at this party? And it's like, she got right in my face screaming at me in front of all these people. Like, literally, it was so awkward. It was like everyone around me and all that was like watching me get roasted by this girl. And like, I'm just kind of standing there thinking to myself, like, I don't know you. Like, I never actually spoke to this girl before. And like, she was there, like, saying all this shit, all this outrageous shit to me. Like, nobody even likes you and all this. And it's like, first of all, like, I don't know you. Like, it's kind of like, I don't. It's so weird how someone can like, who you don't know, can just completely snap on you and just be extremely toxic like that for no reason, if you get me. It's just so weird to me. I never understood it, and I'm never like that myself. Actually, I would never say something like that to anybody. So I just don't understand it. It's weird. But yeah, that's just an example there of like a person being an asshole basically for no reason. But yeah, there's tons of like different like of ways personally that like having Asperger's kind of like affects certain social socializing situations, if you get me. Like I think the worst part as well is when you're around so many people, like, you know, when there's just like a lot, like a crap ton of people. It's like that's what makes me anxious, kind of, if you get me. I realize it's probably just another rant, but fuck it, I just feel like talking about this. There was also another like person who became hostile towards me as well. Like one time, I back in one of my previous jobs, I had like this manager, right, and basically, like, I ended up asking the same question, I think, 3 times in the space of a month. But like, so basically, what happened is, like, we were waiting for this truck to arrive, and like instead of me and the manager standing there in awkward silence for half an hour, I decided to try and have a conversation, right? And I ended up making the mistake of saying something that I apparently said twice before, and she just completely lost her head with me. She just got like really hostile and was like, "And that's the third time you've asked that in the past month." And I'm just kind of like, I'm like, okay, I mean, chill, Jesus. I'm only trying to have a conversation here instead of us standing here, like, uh, just in complete like boredom. You know? It's like we're like waiting for like an hour for this truck to arrive, and it's like, it made like it made like pretty much like every time I wanted to speak to this girl like uncomfortable. Well, because she was a manager, but like, it made it kind of uncomfortable. I'm like, I don't want to talk to this person again because of how like how kind of like I just thought it was like just rude, like, it was weird. But yeah, like there's a lot of like weird like situations and experiences and all that kind of go hand in hand with this, if you get me. But yeah, luckily I left that job pretty soon afterwards anyway, so I never had to see that person ever again. Thank God. But yeah, I used to be really worse in terms of like, socializing. Like when I was in school, I could not talk to anybody at all. Besides my friends, I could not actually speak to anybody until at the age of 16. Now, throughout my entire school life, I was miserable, but I woke up at the age of 16 or 17 and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like make a change, right? I'm gonna try and change my life around and become more social, more outgoing and all this. So that's what I've done. Like, force myself into pretty much every uncomfortable situation possible to try and become more outgoing. I didn't know at the time that I had Asperger's, so I thought my awkwardness was just me, like, I thought it was just lack of experience, because like, if you have someone who's in his house growing up the whole time, then try speaking to someone, obviously, you might be kind of like, you might find it hard, that's kind of the way I looked at it. But yeah, I ended up, luckily enough, I got over that, I ended up forcing myself into all these situations. I went to like parties, and this is going to sound bad, but I think alcohol helped a lot, but it also fucked me in ways as well. Like, it really, like, gave me lots of like, depression issues and all that, if that makes sense. But yeah, I do think I have come out on top in a sense, because like I do feel like I'm so much more of a better person than I was when I was like 16, for example, and 17. Hell, even 18, like, but like back then I just had so much like shit going on, and ever since I found out that I have this at the age of 21, that I have Asperger's, it's been like a sense of relief and also dread and regret, a shit ton of regret, and also misery. But luckily, it's, uh, life goes on, I guess. You end up just moving on, I guess, and trying to like, just accepting it for the way it is. Like, that's kind of the way I look at it. But yeah, hopefully this video wasn't too bad. If you made this far, thanks, appreciate it, and yeah, I'll see you next time, hopefully.